Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the professor and her geeky girlness herself, Ace. And now it's time. GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace.
Hey everybody, welcome to GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace. This is episode 59.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is, but I love that we're at 59. Just posted the Ozpod Girls latest one, and they're at 9. So we're 50 ahead of them at the moment. So,
and we take breaks. Unfortunately, life happens, and we have.
It does, and pretty much everybody does at some level. So, but yeah, 59 is pretty exciting. So yeah, we're moving right on. We'll be at 60 next week, and
I think when we hit 75, we should have some kind of amazing thing.
We do. We'll talk about that and try to plan that, because that's only 15 episodes away. So there we go. So we wanted to talk about a little movie that came out last weekend called The Suicide Squad and what our thoughts were on that, and kind of talk about how it's doing, because that's an interesting discussion also. So we will talk about The Suicide Squad next week. We decided let me announce what we're going to do next week, because next week we're going to go off the rails for us.
We're going off like in this Shpoo in my world. We're going into cryptids next week. We're going to talk about Bigfoot and aliens. Seriously? Yes, seriously.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
See, there we go. That's what we want, because I love that stuff. I love when you guys talk about that stuff. I'm always fascinated. I'm not a full-on diehard believer, but I'm definitely not a skeptic either. I'm kind of in between. I want to see what's out there. I'm curious about it.
So Shpoo tells people that he is the skeptic who believes. He doesn't believe like everything that people say is real.
Right.
But he believes that there are things that are real that people have said and said.
Right.
And so he that's how he, I don't know exactly how he words it, but that's kind of how he labels himself.
Yeah.
So you probably fit into that.
I probably do fit more in that. I've always had a curiosity about that stuff since I was a little kid. And we'll get into all that next week and talk about why we're talking about it. But I know I've had an experience. Now, it may not be an induction experience, but I've had an experience that we'll talk about next week, because it's fun to talk about those things. But and if
you guys have had experiences and you want to come on and talk about it, let us know.
Yep.
And if you just want to comment next week while we're talking, we would love to hear some personal experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I will be sharing some of mine. Larry will share one of his.
And
who knows? Maybe we'll get the Skallywag on, and he has a couple too. So
it's going to be some interesting stuff. But the other thing I always think with that is, if somebody is gaining something from sharing an experience, then usually that experience probably is a lie or whatever. But if you have nothing to gain and you're just sharing this experience, you're either crazy or you've had an experience of some sort, right?
I'm a little crazy, but I wasn't crazy when my experience happened.
I get that. Yeah, right.
I developed my craziness as an adult. It's all right.
Well, it's not to like the insanity level of crazy. It's just a little. We all have a little bit of
I'm a little off. It's okay.
That's what we do here. We're just always a little off. That's what makes us. So we've got that next week, but we want. And Jason says he's just crazy. So he even missed the A in it. So that's how crazy he is. I can see that, Jason.
For a writer, Jason, that's terrible. I would have edited that out.
I think he did that on purpose.
I know.
But yeah, we're going to talk about our thoughts on the Suicide Squad tonight. Next week, we'll get more into we'll get out our tinfoil hats and all that jazz.
Oh, I have one of those.
I know you do. That'll be awesome. You should definitely wear that next week. So,
See, I told you I was weird.
I don't think that's weird at all, but that's just me. So let's talk about the Suicide Squad. So last weekend, the DCEU put out their latest movie, and it is directed by the amazing James Gunn, who directed the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, along with a lot of other movies, but really known for the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, kind of the zany, fun part of the Marvel universe. And you could kind of
that ensemble cast to the Marvel, and with a little bit of comic relief, a little bit more than the other Marvels. So yeah, James Gunn does a really good job with that. So
he does.
I was really excited when it was announced that he was going to do this one, and of course they brought back some of the cast from the other one, but then they omitted a lot of big players from the first one.
Right.
Everyone.
Well, you have Harley still there. You have Flag still there. That's pretty much it. But that's kind of how that comic goes.
And Amanda Waller.
Oh, right. Because we're going to talk about Waller, because Waller is going to be it's going to be a section just for Waller.
Oh yeah. So we're going to do this, and we're 6.5 minutes into this conversation, and I just want everyone to know that if you have not seen this movie, turn us off, watch the movie, then come back and watch us, because there are going to be tons of spoilers, and I don't want anybody going, but you spoiled it for me. It's been out for a week. If you haven't seen it, spoilers are up in the air at this point. So,
and you can stream it on HBO Max.
Yeah.
You can go to the theater to watch it. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can watch this. So, and there may be reasons why you haven't watched it. Like if you've got small kids, this is an R-rated movie. Just up front, make sure you know what you're getting into. And
there is a scene. Oh, hold on! I got somebody coming behind me. He's getting the tripod so he can come join the conversation.
Awesome.
There is a scene, one specific scene that shows full frontal nudity of a man, but it's a split-second scene.
Never gonna do that when you're talking about full frontal nudity of a man. I mean, it was so fast I couldn't tell. But there's a joke in there somewhere.
Just be prepared for that. However, we watched it, and Lex loves Harley Quinn. She's 10, and she asked to watch it, so we let her watch it. She didn't even notice because it happened so fast, and she was like not quite paying attention. But if you have a child who pays extremely close attention to the TV, watch it beforehand so you can kind of fast forward through that part. But,
well, and there's also a female breast in the scene that's pretty quick too. So just so you people now in the golden days of movies, which the 80s, PG movies had boobs sometimes. PG-13 definitely had boobs.
Pretty in Pink is the prime example for that. There's a shower scene in that.
That's 16 Candles.
Or 16 Candles. Sorry.
You're right. You're all right. I'm just making sure we got our facts there.
Those had the shower scene.
The shower scene, and there's a good portion of PG-13 movies had that. In fact, the movie Airplane, which is PG, had nude scene. With the girl pulling her shirt up and running up and down the aisle. I don't know. I'm like,
we just want parents to know that we are aware that this is an R-rated movie, and as Larry and I said, there is violence. There's cursing. There is a full frontal nudity scene with the guy, which is something that's not always, when they say full frontal nudity, a lot of the time it's a woman. This is a man. And then there's the breast. So those things aside, we still let our 10-year-old watch.
Everybody's going to make their choices. And, don't be the parent that, takes the 4-year-old into the movie theater to see this and then blames the movie. It is a superhero movie, but it's not a PG-13 superhero movie. It's not Avengers. It's like
Deadpool.
It's more like that.
And I worked the movie theater when Deadpool came out, and I will tell you how many parents came out were like, why did you let me buy these tickets? And I was like, ma'am, I told you this was an R-rated movie. This is not a kid's movie. You were like, no, my kids love Deadpool. And I'm like, okay.
Yep. It's your, as a parent, it's my job to make sure what I let my kids watch. And sometimes I've made mistakes and let them watch something and went, oh, I made a mistake, but I don't blame the movie for that. So we just want to be clear with that. We do have a couple of guests joining us right now. Oh, well, one moment, I think. One moment they'll be good joining us. So that's fine. So, all right, now we're good to go. So let's bring in the Skallywag and the little Skallywag.
Oh, look, she got a kick out of that one.
So how's it going, guys?
Going good.
Good.
But I had to represent James Gunn there a little bit.
There you go. Yes.
Another good movie that he did. That was ensemble-ish, but not quite ensemble, and had a little humor, but way darker than Guardians.
Right.
A little bit. And it tied in super, if you haven't seen that. Yep. Loosely. Very, very loosely. But one particular. So I am sweating my butt off. Pardon me.
That's interesting because you're wiping your face and saying you're sweating your butt off.
Well,
I don't know.
Lex, that was
insert
funny.
joke here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're talking the Suicide Squad.
Yes.
So we haven't given kind of our feelings on what we think of the movie yet. Why don't we start with you guys? What do you think of the movie?
Lex,
what do you think?
Skallywag, what did you think of it?
Yep, mini Skallywag.
She's seen it twice now, actually. So.
Yeah, I've seen it once at my mom's house. My brother was watching it, and then I've seen it once here.
All right. And you liked it?
Polka Dot Man? Yeah.
I was Polka Dot Man, yeah.
Very, very sad when that one put that. I thought it was great. I noticed something we were talking about earlier today, actually, though, is like I asked AJ if she wanted to rewatch it before we did this tonight. And we both kind of came to the consensus that even though we absolutely loved the movie, neither one of us really had the desire to watch it again. And I don't know what that means. I have no idea what it means, because I did. I loved it. I thought it was wonderful. Like the only problem I had with it at all was that they killed Boomerang. But
like first thing.
Right in the first scene. Like if you want to kill the rest of those guys, that's fine. But I love Captain Boomerang, and it was like I got so excited because he actually threw a boomerang and killed two people with it. I'm like, oh, they're actually going to use them right this time. Well, never mind.
Yeah.
How shocked were you guys with that first scene? Like, you knew it was a decoy team.
Well,
I thought it was, but I didn't think it would go that.
They made no secret from day one that pretty much everyone was going to die. And then when the trailers started coming out, it was pretty like spoiler, not even spoiler sites, but just kind of everybody was pretty much under the assumption that you see them, you see only a specific group of them on a beach, and then you see a specific group of them in the rest of the trailer. That specific scene, we don't know where in the movie it falls, but that whole team's getting wiped out.
Right.
So,
or my thought was maybe it's the other team that gets wiped out. I did not know which team was going to get wiped out for sure, but figured there was going to be a team.
I actually was surprised. I honestly figured by the end of it that Harley, Peacemaker, and oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. The not Deadshot.
Right.
That they would be the three that would survive. Turned out to be a couple more than that. But I'm happy that they didn't kill King Shark.
Lex was too. Weren't you, Lex?
He's just so cute and you just want to hug him and hope he doesn't eat you. Rat catcher, yeah.
Yeah, Ratcatcher. Yes, I agree. So I want to ask Lex. Lex, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best movie you ever saw, 1 being the worst movie, where do you put that number?
An 8.
And 8. 8's a good number for it. I agree with that. Yeah. I think that's a really good rating.
So Lex is a huge Harley Quinn fan. She loves Harley. She has a Birds of Prey poster in her room. She loves Margot as Harley. She thinks she's an amazing Harley. She's always like thinking she looks really like what you want Harley Quinn to look like, huh? Yeah.
What I thought was great. Sorry, I didn't mean to catch up. What I thought was great was like I love James Gunn's attention to detail. I mean, not only did this have 500 million Easter eggs, a Challenger Man cameo for Christ's sake, but I love that he actually takes the time to like know who these characters are,
right,
and use them right. Like Amanda Waller, she had a couple of the wall moments in the first one, but in this one, she actually felt like Amanda Waller. Like the whole, you really think you would do that? You have no idea what I could do. I'm like, that's the most Amanda Waller statement I've ever heard.
Would you really do that to his daughter? You have no idea what I would do. It was amazing. Also, when he comes in and he has the weapon to her and she doesn't flinch.
Right, not at all.
It's like it's very much like try it. Just try it. Because Amanda Waller. Like I really, really loved what they did with her compared to the last one. She was still Amanda Waller in the last one, but it was kind of like a watered down version of Amanda Waller. And anyone who's a fan of the comics knows that Amanda Waller, there's nothing watered down about that woman's personality.
No, she stands toe to toe with Batman.
I was about to say, if you're not familiar with Amanda Waller, Batman can come in and get right in her face, and she will just stand there and say, "What do you got?"
Right. Bring it, because you're about to start something. So
she's just a very confident, powerful woman who knows that. I mean, in the last one, she literally killed her whole team.
Well, let's come back to, let's put a pin in this and come back to it, because Ace, you and I have not said what we thought yet. So let's do that. Then we've got a couple of comments from viewers on what they thought. And then we'll come back to Waller, because I want to have a big discussion about Amanda Waller, because to me that was the best part of the movie. Right. So
why don't you go first, because I have a little bit of a harder thing with this movie.
Sure. Okay. All right. So
I will be right back.
All right. The big scallywag leaves. The little scallywag takes over. Arg. All right. So I enjoyed this movie for what it was, because I knew going in the violence of it. I knew going in that it was an R-rated movie. It was going to play the way it did. I love the fact that they weren't afraid to kill people. They just went all out. And we'll talk a little bit about that first scene, on kind of what that means. We'll come back to that too. But I enjoyed that part. Now, what I did not enjoy, and I'll be honest, because as you know, my family is a little more sensitive on what my kids can watch. And so my son didn't get the opportunity to watch it, and he loves seeing superhero movies with me. Right. So that was a bit of a disappointment. And so that really was the big thing I was disappointed in. I had a good time. I went in to have a good time. I had to wait until people were gone from the house to watch it. Probably would have enjoyed seeing it in the movie theater. And Jason actually had a ticket for me, but I was on call, so I didn't get to go when I know that was sad, because I would have liked to have seen it in the theater, but didn't get to. So, and sure enough, I got a call. So it was one of those, if I would have gone, I would have gotten called out of the theater and then been mad that I was getting called out of the theater. So I enjoyed it. I gave it probably a B+. It was one of those where not the greatest superhero movie ever, but it was a fun ride. I had a good time doing it. I liked it better than the previous one. I love the fact that it didn't have the Joker in it because I hate the Joker from the original one. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. Every time he was on the screen, it made me cringe. So
the first one, the one change they could have made with the original one is if they would have just made the Joker the villain of the movie.
Yeah, no. The villain was all wrong in the first one.
There was no reason for him to be there at all.
No, agreed.
Okay, so let's pop some people's. Let's pop some comments.
Well, all right. So you want to see what other people are saying first? Okay. You're really struggling here. You want to? All right.
I will tell you. You will understand why. They both know, so you will understand why.
Looking forward to it. So here's what Jason said. Jason said he's a little disappointed. He thought it could be trimmed down a little bit. About 10 minutes off of it would help the pacing. I think the pacing is a fair point there. It didn't detract for me, but I can see that. And Danny says it was amazing.
Look, Danny.
It didn't fit me anymore, so I made her wear it.
and you're sporting it, so you're actually, there you go. The show. Check it out on YouTube.
I support my guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that everybody else has said what they thought of it, as the movie as a whole, I really enjoyed it. I loved how dark and bloody it was. Like it was very, very reminiscent of the comics a little bit more than some of the other movies have. But, it wasn't watered down. And even though I love this character, I am terrified of a certain animal. And this animal is very prevalent in this movie, and it's not the shark. I love King Shark.
Starfish.
It is.
There's a lot of starfish.
Inside the eye.
Oh, yeah.
It is. I'm scared to death of mice because I've been bitten 38 times right after I had my son was bitten by mice.
You need to have an entire episode where AJ just tells about crazy animal stories from her life. By the way. Orangutan.
Yeah, I'll do that someday. But so I'm scared of mice, and so even though I thought, and I'm trying to work through it, but so rats to me are just giant mice, and so I have a panic attack when I see like one or two mice. Like if we have a mouse in the house, and yes, I rhymed, I know that, and it gets killed in a trap, I can't even see the dead mouse go out.
Right.
Like I can't. So
I'll be taking it from wherever out the front door, and just as I'm walking through the living room, don't look.
so since Sebastian was kind of cute, and I was like, okay, one little mouse, one little rat, okay, but when she calls all the mice or all the rats, my anxiety went so through the roof that end of that movie had me shaking, and I almost felt like I was gonna cry.
Sure.
And it wasn't even that it was bad; it was just that there was so many rats on my TV.
But real quick, I am still drawing a blank for some reason. Idris Elba, the not Deadshot character. What was he called? Bloodsport. Bloodsport.
Yeah,
I could not. Yes. Which was
So-
kind of a running gag throughout the movie. So yes, AJ could very much identify with Bloodsport.
Yeah, right.
But that being said, after I've thought about it, after my fear was they were off my TV screen, I really enjoyed it. I liked Harley Quinn's art in this one compared to the last one.
Right.
And the Waller, I think those two ladies really went leaps and bounds beyond what they were in the first one.
Right.
And I loved the comic relief of this. King Shark was amazing. So funny. So I give it if it didn't have all the rats, I would give it probably a 7. But because it had the rats, I have to drop that down to like a 6, maybe a 5.5, 6.
Yeah.
But it's just a personal fear. So
Sure. No, I get that. If you're being confronted with your fear, that makes perfect sense. So I have a buddy of mine, my age, right? My age, and there was a time where we lived just like 2 minutes from each other, and he would call me up at 10 o'clock at night. The mousetrap went off. Can you come over? And I'm like, dude, you are a grown man. It's dead. No, I can't. It's dead. So, but yeah, so
I somebody like that with spiders.
see, I can do spiders. I can do snakes. I can lizards, bugs.
There
none
was
of it bothers me.
There was a girl I used to work with.
I thought you were going to say date, and that was going to be awkward. Oh.
No. Girl I used to work with back when I ran karaoke, that she lived in, she had moved to like Lebanon or something like that. So like an hour away from Springfield. And anytime she would like find a spider in her house, would call our boss to drive to her house to kill the spider. We know somebody that does the exact same thing.
I have an ex-boss that used to call,
No,
like
not
if there
you.
was a spider
You
on
did
her
go for me.
car, on the outside of her car, she was so scared of spiders she couldn't get near her car. So there were several mornings that people had to go over and get the spider off before she could come to work.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But my fear for mice and stuff, I've been doing better.
That's good.
At pet stores, I used to avoid that section completely.
Right.
Both of them, I have been.
I just had a thought. Sorry. I'll share in a moment. Finish your thought.
Better. I've been actually walking over by that area, and I don't have to like cry. So.
Well, not crying is good. I agree. Now we need to get like a little light bulb thing that we can throw into the different pictures, and we could put it right above Shpoo's head.
Right.
He's got an idea.
The black eye is going on right now. I noticed it.
Yeah, that's true.
So what's your idea, Shpoo?
You said next week you're doing cryptids and stuff. Like anything in particular that you're wanting to talk about?
Bigfoot and aliens so far.
And more of maybe not even aliens as much as UFOs, especially with the released footage that came out a while ago or a year ago.
My thought was with that, and you said something about having me on again. Danny, if you're still watching, and she's wearing the shirt. If I do it, he needs to do it too.
All right, sounds good.
If you're still watching,
and if he's not, we'll get him invited. So, yeah, most definitely, because and it's one of those things where we can talk about personal experiences. We can also talk about things that aren't personal experience, such as the released videos and all that. But it's just I think it's a geeky subject all of its own. That's kind of a fun thing to explore. So yeah. So we'll definitely do that. So let's go back to Amanda Waller now, and kind of what our thoughts are on her, and not just her, but her office.
Right.
Because that's an interesting dynamic all of its own that I found completely cool.
That's actually something I don't know that I was all that crazy about.
All right.
I didn't dislike it per se, but like we all know that the Peacemaker's getting his own show.
Yes.
And we know that the blonde girl and the bigger guy, that they are going to be like his handlers.
Right.
Even the post-credit scene, they were the ones that went to the hospital. That they will be his handlers throughout the series. And that office completely felt like we're introducing a cast of characters for a TV show that's coming up. Enjoy. It didn't feel like, I don't know, I would not ever expect, and nor have I ever seen in comic book form, in cartoon form, in any other medium that Amanda Waller has ever appeared in, you just can't imagine that she would be in an office full of people that are having fun.
Well, maybe that's why they're assigned to a different project now.
Right?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I loved the beginning of it where they're placing bets on
Yeah.
But one thing to that, as far as like how's the seriousness in the office. Going back to what I said earlier about James Gunn and his attention to detail, the girl that actually hits Amanda Waller in the head with the golf club and knocks her out is actually a character from all of those people are characters from the comic books.
Right.
That one in particular is actually a character who in the comics worked under Amanda Waller and actually annoyed the crap out of Amanda Waller. But then she actually gets killed on a mission. And her death actually was the cause for Amanda Waller kind of toning down her menacing nature. She actually became a little bit softer after that. So maybe it is a good thing that group was there. I don't know.
So the thing is I think it added to the comic relief, and I also think it pushed us into this category of like all these new characters. Like we had all these new characters, and they're placing bets on all of them on how they're gonna die or how long they're gonna live, and so you see all of them, even though the ones that they were placing bets on are the ones that died really, really quickly. But you know, it is what it is. But I don't think that my problem with the Office was just I don't know how much Amanda Waller would have put up with the question.
Sure.
Like they questioned her. Like the last time she just shot everybody, okay? So you just don't question Amanda Waller. You don't. Batman barely questioned, like
right.
And that's Batman. If you're just a regular person like pushing buttons, you're not going to be questioning Miss Waller. This is like not happening.
Well, I think a lot of it was kind of behind the scenes with her, kind of behind her back, but she knows what's going on because she always knows everything. Right. The thing it reminded me of was Cabin in the Woods.
Right.
Yeah.
With the Cabin in the Woods, where you get like, what just happened? Where are we? And then they're placing bets on how to do that. So that's what it reminded me of. But I had a good time with that. But I can see, and you could tell. What I loved about it was how Waller was like, I'm putting up with this for the moment, but I'm going to kill them all.
You see it.
As soon as this mission's over, you're all dead.
Yes, and she, Shpoo brought up a point when we were watching it afterwards. He was like, I just feel like she wouldn't have sent them on a mission, because she killed the last crew. Like, and I was like, she goes, I don't understand why she did that. And I was like, she might be at this point where she can't, like, if she keeps killing off all her crew, nobody's gonna work for her.
Right.
So I don't know.
Right. My phone is doing that thing it did last week, where the sound goes all weird. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
We can hear you. Okay.
Okay, because you sound like a broken speaker box at a McDonald's drive-thru. So,
well, Lex sounded like a robot.
So I think on that note, we're going to bow out. But thank you for having. And she's not the little scallywag; she's the rapscallion. It's Scallywag and Rapscallion.
All right. She's like, I don't know what that means.
Okay, but anyway, I might pop back on after a little bit.
All right, sounds great.
Thanks for having me. We'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good.
I'll see you in a couple minutes.
See you, Lex. All right. So let me. Here's Jason's thoughts on Waller. He liked seeing her get walloped, and I think everybody kind of enjoyed the fact that she got hit, right?
I didn't enjoy it, but I felt like it was the only way they were going to be able to do anything.
Right.
It was kind of that moment where all of them realized that if they don't do something, not only is the Suicide Squad dying, which they are taking bets. They don't really care about the Suicide Squad.
It's working now, so okay, we're good.
That's funny.
She wanted to come back on, so here we are.
All right.
Or not.
But I don't feel like them doing that, if they didn't do that, I don't think that they could have saved all the people. And I don't think their motive was to save Harley and save Bloodshot. It was about saving all of those kids and those people in that town.
All the innocents. Right. Well, and the fact that Waller, I mean, that's how hard cold she is. She didn't care. It's like, okay, well, good, because they're not really our allies anymore. Let them all die.
Well, and the thing is she knew that the video or the proof that the government was behind all of it, our government was behind it, was taken care of. And at that point, she didn't care.
Right.
Like, okay, well, you know what? If he destroys everything, then we don't have to worry about covering our assets.
Of course, it is a giant starfish. What are the odds that it can go through the water and end up over the United States? I mean, I think maybe good.
I loved the giant starfish. I'm just going to say that.
Starro the Conqueror.
The fact that they had Starro as a villain and made it not cheesy.
Right.
Exactly. Okay, and being as colorful as he let it be and everything. I was like, when I saw, like, you know, people were posting pictures of like, oh my gosh, this sort of thing, like the day it was released, because we didn't watch it until a couple days after. But I was like, it looks like it could be really cheesy. But when you see it, it's actually done really well, but it's still fun and colorful. And Starro as the character was an interesting thing too, because you know how I am with villains, and I always tell you that the best villains, you either can see their point of view or you can feel empathy for them. And this is just a star alien that's just floating through space, looking at stars, looking at other stars in the heavens, and we capture him.
Right.
That last line right before Starro dies, that was beautiful.
That was brutal. Yeah.
Like, I was, where it speaks, of course, it speaks through all the little drones that it makes of all the people, but the general, I can't even think of it now. Corridor Maltese. But anyway, just said, I was happy floating and looking at the stars.
Right. Yeah, to me, Starro was never the villain.
No.
It was clearly Waller was the villain in the United States. It was not an all-star, which is interesting because in the comics, you know, the Justice League actually forms because of Starro attacking initially. And Starro usually is seen as some sort of dictator who wants to control people and take over the earth. And so it was a very interesting twist on that character making them like, you know, I was just kind of minding my own business watching the stars. Right. You people did this, and then all I've ever asked is just to be let go, and you people won't do it.
Right. And the thing is, it's kind of like it's that caged animal that is biting the hand that feeds it.
Yeah.
Like he was captured. If they would have let him go while he was in space, he probably wouldn't have paid any attention to Earth.
Right.
But years and years and years of being toyed with by one of my favorite actors.
The Thinker, yeah.
And the stuff in his head that way was amazing.
Oh my God. And did you notice that, like, if they flash back, there was just a couple, and then, like, as he aged, there were more and more on.
Right, yes.
I love those little details. But the Thinker was, you know, who turned Starro into the villain.
Right.
He really did. One, he fed him people to see if they could figure out how he was doing it and how they could use him as a weapon. So
Lex was trying to say something. What's
up, Lex?
I was gonna say that was really funny when the polka dot man turned Starro into his mom.
Yes.
That was really fun.
That was wonderful.
I could not hear her.
Yes, she said she thought it was really funny when Polka Dot Man turned Starro into his mother.
Yes, that was.
Polka Dot Man was fun, wasn't he, Lex?
Yeah, that was a fun character.
In case you don't know, basically his backstory is that his mother worked at Star Lab. She experimented on him and his brothers and sisters to give them all superpowers. So he is now insane, and the only way he can bring himself to kill something or someone is to picture them as his mother. And the thing is, he pictures everyone as his mother at all times.
Right,
And
right.
you see that a number of times in the movie, and it's hilarious.
I think like 3 times.
Like 3 or 4, yeah.
But I can't always in Star Wars.
Yeah.
I loved it when he pictured King Shark as his mother. When they
Yeah.
were in the jungle.
Or
Like,
the whole team, yeah.
yes, where
Yeah.
there and King Shark is back there in the back, and you're just like, oh my god, that's hilarious.
Like swatting at a butterfly.
Yes. Kudos to that
It's a
actress
mother.
because she, plays this weird role with no talking or anything like that, and yet, like when they're dancing at the club, and it's all these different versions of her.
I
And
want to say,
I forgot that part.
yeah, I want to say she's one of James Gunn's staples. That she's in a lot of his stuff. Like you got, of course, you got Michael Rooker and Nathan Fillions and a bunch of his stuff.
And then, of course, his brother.
Sean, of course.
Brother Sean.
Which was
There's also, oh God, I just drew a blank on his name. The guy that started Troma Films. That's gonna drive me insane. Anyway, he's in all of his stuff. He made an appearance. Did you notice Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, I didn't.
He was the,
When they go into the bar, there's the girls up there dancing. She was the girl right up in the front.
Oh, there you go.
Didn't speak a word. She's just dancing.
Oh, there we are. So we've got a couple comments from Jason here about Starro. Starro's last word actually got me. It got me too.
Yeah.
And then felt more compassion for Starro than any other character. Yeah, I agree. I
would say there was a lot of compassion for King Shark, and that's like as we were going through it, I'm like, I don't think they'll kill him. They might, but I don't think they will because they've given way too many little sympathy moments.
Right.
He's cute and he's lovable. They won't kill him.
And when he's trying to eat rat catcher, and when she's sleeping and they stop him and she's like, you wouldn't eat your friends and I don't have any friends. Like that was so sad.
Right.
He doesn't understand the concept of friends because
I'll be your friend.
I know.
I'm only friends with rats, so I'll be a shark's friend too.
Rats and sharks, man, she could rule the world.
King Shark was bulletproof.
Yeah, he's pretty tough.
They go.
It's funny that so many of the characters were just kind of swap outs for characters from the first one. Like instead of Deadshot, you have Bloodsport. Instead of Killer Croc, you have King Shark. Instead of it's like they're the same character, just a little different.
Right.
But, yeah, well, I mean,
like even Deadshot and Bloodsport, it's like both already in prison when Amanda Waller comes to get them. They're both manipulated. Don't want anything to do with it. Both manipulated by their daughter, who's in. It's the exact same story, just different character.
Except Harley. We have Harley.
Well, I mean, Harley's the same character though. So
she grew a lot.
Yeah.
In storylines.
Let's talk about Harley's arc.
Yeah, finally felt like Harley Quinn.
She did.
There were the little touches, the tattoo on her back, which in the first movie said property, of the Joker, and this one says property of no one.
Yeah.
Right.
The fact that she still is a hopeless romantic, she still wants to fall in love, she still wants to find somebody who she thinks is worthy of her, which is a very real thing for most people in life. Yes, she does tend to fall for the crazy boys, but now she recognizes it way faster. I mean, when she's like with that guy who's ruling
I knew if there were any red flags, and killing kids is a red flag to me.
Like she just shoots him. Like, good for her. Not that she well, I mean, he's a bad guy. So, but that she recognizes these red flags so much faster.
Right.
I I just love that they're allowing Harley Quinn to grow from what she has been pigeonholed into for so long in movies. And I know the comics have let her grow a lot, and so is the animated series and stuff. But in movies, Harley has just always been, very Mr. J, like that sort of thing. And I really like this, and I like that you feel like she's finally over the Joker. I don't think she quite is, but you find that she's trying to be. And it was just really good. And let's face it, the fight scene where everything's animated and you just step into Harley Quinn's mind, it was so well done. I love the animation with it too.
That's the biggest part of what really felt like Harley was like. In the first one, she's just kind of there, cracking jokes all the time, talking to him, pining over Joker, and then she would occasionally hit somebody with a baseball bat or whatever. But like Harley in the comics and stuff is a badass, and like she's incredibly practically a gymnast, and like the scene where she is in the room being interrogated.
Hanging.
And she does that thing where she breaks the guy's neck with her legs and whatever. Like, was a total callback to the first movie where she's doing the silk ropes stuff, whatever, in the jail cell. So and so just to see her actually use the skills that she has as like a gymnast and whatever, and she's an incredibly awesome fighter, and so to actually see her actually get that moment was very, very awesome.
And to be able to see it the way she sees it, which is
right. The interesting thing I thought was when she picked up the key with her toes and then releases herself, because that actually was done in like 2 shots. She actually did that herself. Margot Robbie did it. There was no stunt actor doing it. She just did it. She's like, I can do this.
That's awesome.
Like, what in the world? I can't do that. There ain't no way.
So, Miss Lex, what were you wanting to say, babe?
I was really sad when they put all the gasoline in the bird. Really sad when they killed the bird.
Kill all the birds, right?
I keep telling you, like, everyone's just going to keep talking. You just got to jump in.
You do. Or raise your hand.
Or just go, hey, this is the only time you can do that to me, Brian. You didn't do that to me in real life.
I'm the little scallywag. Let me speak.
She's like, whatever. But no, I just love that they let her grow so much. And like Shpoo said, she's so much more than just this lackey. Like, she is a badass. She fights. Like, she fights Batman and holds her own. Okay?
Right.
This is an amazing woman. And also, I love that. So she's one of the only ones who makes it through the first scene on the beach in that team. Flag and her are the only ones, well, until the very end when we find out, the weasel. But she makes it through. And then not only that, but she gets to the Capitol, and she gets inside the Capitol because of who she is. And all of this time, she is still her, and she's still fighting and everything. And yeah, she gets a little sidetracked with love for like 5 minutes of the movie, 10 minutes of the movie. But when they're all like going to, they're going to go find out what this big experiment is, which is Sorrow. They say, well, we got to go stop, and we got to like save Harley. And they get there, and you didn't have to freaking save Harley. She's like out in a, like, she's.
I love how she comes out and she's like, "You were gonna save me. I can go back inside."
Well, and I love that she jumped in the Uber too.
Yeah, she like jumps into a cab with like the
javelin.
What's going on?
And she's like, and she's just, and then she's like, looks over and she sees them climbing the building, and she's just like this, like, oh, wonder what they're doing. And it was so Harley Quinn, like the traditional Harley Quinn, that goofy, like, oh, you guys moment. It
Like
was
she's so touched, she starts crying.
yes.
And just that one line of like, I can go back inside. It's probably my favorite part of the whole movie.
Right? It was that point, though, that you're like, she didn't need to be saved, but she loved the idea that they wanted to save her, and that is a very
Right.
Harley Quinn character trait.
Right.
Like,
Want to be loved, cared for. Yeah. Now, I was a little sad that they didn't get the taxi driver from Deadpool to be the taxi driver right there. That would have been phenomenal. Now, I know it's a different universe and all that, but I still would have been like, oh, well, from the DCEU it is.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess, yeah. Duh.
Yeah, because it's kind of Marvel versus DC.
I know. I went totally Marvel there for a minute. I'm not ashamed.
That's all right. So
it felt like a Marvel movie because it was actually good for one.
Well, it wasn't as it's dark in one way. It's dark with all the blood and all that, and people dying, and that you're going to blow somebody's head off. And we've seen that actually happen, where it was just threatened the previous movie.
We got robot voices again, so I guess we'll be back.
All right. So, but it did sort of, because it had that lighter feel with the comedy balancing it out, which I think is a really good thing to do. That way you can do intense, and then you can kind of get that funny moment to lighten the intensity and bring it back without having to be dark constantly. So
yeah, and the first scenes when they're
I don't know why I keep doing that.
The first scenes when they're like on the plane, you have your funny moments. You know, they're like,
right.
What kind of animal is he? Is he a dog? I mean, do you have me sit next to a werewolf like that?
A werewolf?
And when the guy in Flag's like, he's not dangerous. I mean, he has killed
27 children.
27 children.
I think pretty sure it's 27. I don't know. Somewhere in there. 20 some odd children.
Yeah.
But you know, he's not dangerous. And then the weasel like drowns, and they're like, oh, the weasel's drowned. Like, did anybody check to see if he could swim?
Yeah. Who was supposed to check to see if the weasel could swim?
But I love the fact. Did you catch the little nod during that scene where he does kind of come back to life? That it's happening under a full moon.
Yes. Yes.
I thought that was a nice little. Yeah. Just because they made the comment about him being a
werewolf. But
how about the detachable arms boy?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Nathan Fillion.
First of all,
TDK, the detachable kid.
The detachable kid. Yeah.
I love Nathan. So when I found out he was
Captain Tight Pants.
I was like, what? Yes. But like, I would have loved for them to let that fight scene happen a little longer.
Yeah.
Like Shpoo said, Boomerang, he throws his boomerang and you see him like chop people, like two people's faces. Like,
I'm convinced though. We will see Boomerang again.
And why is that?
They will somehow find a way to bring him back to life.
And why is that?
Because he's a boomerang. They always come back.
There you go.
Goodbye.
Well, it is a comic book movie, so death is just
no one's
temporary.
ever really dead. Yeah.
Except for Uncle Ben. Anyway, so
and various Marthas.
Oh goodness!
It's that name.
Wait, why'd you say that, dude? Anyway, so, but yeah, so it was fun. Now it was one of those where you realized all these people are going to die. You're like, that's interesting. To me, it was interesting that Waller knew this group was all going to die.
Yeah.
And she's letting people in the office actually bet on who's going to die first.
Yeah.
And she includes in this group her right-hand man being Flag and Harley. And you're like, are you trying to kill them because you don't like them anymore? Are they no longer usable? Flag has grown to conscious. Is that the problem?
I think
And Harley is just a
no,
pain
that's
in the butt.
exactly there's actually an answer for that. That's pretty much exactly true. She knew. I mean, they were to be the diversion for the real team to go in to basically squash the whole thing, and that's why Peacemaker was in the other group, because he was supposed to find the hard drive and destroy it.
Right.
So Flag being there, and he's always been the one in charge of the Suicide Squad. So Flag being there, you got to put him on the diversion group. Sorry, I got to take you out somehow on this one, because I can't have you finding that hard drive, because you're a good dude at heart and you will expose it, which is exactly what he tries to do.
Right. Well, and at one point he wasn't such a good dude, but he kind of has evolved into being a better dude. And that has to be a liability for Waller there.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. Oh,
so,
yeah. That's the whole reason Waller does the Suicide Squad. Because they have nothing to lose. They have very little to gain. And they're beyond expendable. Like all of them are.
Right.
And this is just a reminder. This movie was a reminder that not only are like the people in the office expendable to Waller, everyone is expendable to Waller.
Because there's plenty of supervillains out there getting captured that we can stick on a team.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. We see them in the facilities, the ones that weren't taken. Calendar Man, everybody else. You're like, there's plenty more to take here.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing with in the DC universe is she has her pick from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of villains that they could draw from. I did like that they drew, they brought in some more obscure ones. I was expecting Polka Dot Man to die way earlier.
Right.
He did. Like, he made it to the last fight.
Right. And then you were rooting for him not to die. And then how he dies, you're like, are you kidding? That's how you kill him? Oh.
I'm so sad.
We got a kaiju.
But he, because he's such an obscure villain.
Right.
Like, I like that they brought him in.
And made him likable, where you cared about him by the end and you were sad. Because normally you're like, it's Polka Dot Man, whatever. Polka Dot Man, Ratcatcher. I mean, these guys, who cares, right? Kill them. And then you're like, but I just kill them because
something that's truly unfortunate, and that is the Javelin.
Yeah.
A Booster Gold villain. And how unfortunate it is, not only that we have yet to have a Booster Gold movie, because, come on, that would be awesome. But how unfortunate it is that even if we get one eventually, that obviously Nathan Fillion won't be playing him.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And that makes me sad.
But Booster comes from the future, so
we're getting a Blue Beetle movie. So we almost have to get a Booster Gold movie now.
But we're not getting a Cord Blue Beetle movie, right?
But Cord's going to be in it, though.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, and since we're breaking time in with the Flash movie coming up, and then we're also in Marvel, we're breaking universes. So, I mean, a lot of things are going to be possible. And Booster Gold maybe hasn't been able to come to the past yet, but nothing says, that wasn't his great grandfather whose arms detached.
There was a Booster Gold Easter egg in Man of Steel, and I want to say there was another one actually in BVS also. So there's been at least a couple. So maybe he's out there and we just haven't seen him yet.
That's very possible.
Totally possible.
Well, no, we know though, if Booster Gold was on Earth, on this Earth at least, we would see him because the dude likes press more than Trump.
So are they going to have to get like Jake Paul or Logan Paul to play him?
Probably so, yes.
I hope not, but how good is that?
So So I just, that's one of those things where I'm like, okay, Booster Gold's not out hiding somewhere. Booster Gold would be in the spotlight.
Oh, he's totally a spotlight.
Yeah, where Blue Beetle probably just kind of doing stuff behind the scenes, and that's what made that relationship so fun.
Very happy on that casting, by the way.
Yes.
It's I can't think of his character's name right now, but the main kid from Cobra Kai.
Yes, it is, and he'll be good. He will be good as him. Yeah.
Cobra Kai. What is his name on there?
Which one, Miguel?
Miguel, thank you.
Miguel. Yes,
Miguel from Cobra Kai is going to be playing. Jaime Reyes.
Yeah.
Long story.
Very long
story.
Yeah. So what?
We need to watch Young Justice.
Young Justice is awesome. I agree.
Young Justice is basically it's like imagine the Teen Titans if it wasn't so kids if it was actually like a that was the live action one, but no. Anyway.
So we talked a little bit about King Shark. Now, did anybody have any problems with the changing of his personality? Because in the comics, he's more like what was on The Flash, and this is very much a dumbed down, aggressive, but not as.
There have been a couple of different versions.
Yeah.
This is kind of an amalgamation of like one of the earlier ones, basically, but it worked.
It did. It was great. I didn't dislike it. I just was curious if anybody else had that problem with it.
Yeah.
I think that if they would have used the version that was on The Flash, I don't think he would have worked in this group.
No.
And you have to work within the group that you have.
Right.
And he brought like he's tough, like Lex said, he's bulletproof. He's a god. He's a descendant of a god.
Right.
I do not know if he can die. We do not know if he can actually die.
It's crazy that he's bulletproof, and yet those little jellyfish things can bite through him no problem.
With those little jellyfish, I thought it was really cute when he was running in circles around that glass.
New friend.
Yeah, and they would make out the shape of thing, but then they started fighting him.
Well,
Jellyfish.
But you got to think they are some kind of non-human form of thing anyway, because they're in that place where the Thinker has been doing experiments. So it's
right.
A star, an experiment done from like the DNA of the starfish, like that sort of thing. He might have mixed the starfish with a jellyfish, and that's what you came up with. And so that's where I took it, is they're not of this world. And King Shark, even though he is bulletproof, he is of this world. So that's, I think, why they could bite into his skin. But how upsetting was that when you think he's like, I've got new friends, and then like the thing breaks and they like look at him and just start attacking him.
Right.
So Lex was very upset when they started attacking him. She was very angry with them.
My friends are biting me. This is not cool. Yeah.
Well, especially because like there for a minute, like you see all this blood rushing up to the surface. Like, no, don't. You can't kill him. And if you're gonna kill him, don't kill him like that.
Right.
After everything he's been through, and then a bunch of little jellyfish are gonna eat him.
And then like he falls off the thing and lands on the ground.
You gotta go. The guard on the when they accidentally killed an entire camp full of good guys.
Yes.
Off to the part where he said,
No.
No.
Then he rips the general in half.
Oh my gosh, that was so fun.
and when he was climbing up the starfish, he kept biting the starfish.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yes.
Sushi,
Good.
So, all right. So, any other characters you guys want to talk about from the movie? Because there were some interesting characters.
I want to see a Batman movie with Taika Waititi as Ratcatcher, even though he wasn't in the United States or anything. But still.
He could have traveled here.
Or Batman could travel over there.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne could go over there for business.
Very true.
Oh,
No, I just seeing Taika as Ratcatcher made me very happy.
Like, wouldn't that be great though? Like having a Batman movie that takes place like not in the United States, since Bruce Wayne, you know, travels the world.
Yeah.
But I would think that would give. Look, millionaire Bruce Wayne is here in town. Batman shows up, lives in the same place. What are the odds of that?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like that. People don't think like that.
I do.
I know you do, but you know, comic book people don't think like that. Lois Lane spent how many years next to Clark Kent? Just saying. That is the one.
Well, that's because when he's Superman, he actually vibrates at a very high frequency, so it blurs his face slightly. That's been explained in the comic book.
That actually was used by the original Flash. That's how the original Flash hid his face. So
they did that even early on in the TV series.
Right.
She's kissed both of them.
Well, and in the comics, she spends how many years trying to prove he's Clark Kent?
Yeah.
So, I mean, jumping out of the building and everything else. In fact, we even have that in the original Superman movie where, you know, you've got her doing things trying to prove that he's Clark.
But it takes her a long time to get there.
And then she fails at everything trying to prove that he's Clark, you know? Like, what in the world? I had super robots that look like me come up and save me. Well, like, oh my gosh, oh, great. The 50s. That was great.
What do you think about Peter as the Thinker?
Oh, yeah, Peter Capaldi as the Thinker was amazing. I love that.
I wish we would have actually got to see the Thinker in action.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, he is one of the best non-speedster Flash villains.
Yes.
By far. And like that season that they had him on the show, one of the best seasons that they did.
Yes, I agree.
But I just to actually see him in a comic accurate appearance, I would have, and Peter Capaldi playing him, I would have loved
that cast
to actually see him do something.
I was super excited about the casting. Everybody knows I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, but I've been a fan of Peter since before Doctor Who. He was the Doctor. But he just always brings such this like weird uniqueness and intensity, but at the same time, like, you're not quite sure what he's thinking. Like, it's this like it's like he's in his own head way too much.
Right.
Brings that to characters so well. And the Thinker, that's just kind of how he is in his head all the time.
There is a DC villain I thought would have been better for him, though.
Oh, who?
Rod?
The Brainwave.
Oh. I was like, Gorilla Grodd?
Yeah, no, I don't think Grodd. I think Brainwave, because Brainwave having more the mental powers. I mean, also being super intelligent, but having those mental powers, being able to take over people. I just think that would have been a great Capaldi role. In fact, when I first saw it, I thought, is that Brainwave? Is that what? Like, nope, no, it's the Thinker. Okay, got it. Okay.
I just thought, it was just it was cast very well. I was not upset with any of the cast. Like, I wasn't like, sometimes you go into movies, especially with huge ensemble casts like this one.
Yeah.
Because you have the first team, and then you have the second team, and then you have the bad guys. And there's always, or there tends to be like, there's 3 or 4 of them that you're like, I wouldn't have done that casting.
I at first, I had kind of a problem with Ratcatcher at first, just because I'm not a fan. I mean, this is going to sound terrible, but I'm not a fan of when they gender bend characters and stuff like that.
Right.
Just because I'm a fan of that character from the comic book, and I want to see that character portrayed on screen.
Right.
But then to actually see the movie and they're like Ratcatcher 2. The fact that they actually called her the second iteration of Ratcatcher.
Right.
I'm like, hey, I'm cool with that. It's a new character. I'm fine with that. And then she was by far one of my favorite characters in the whole movie. She's kind of the heart, and she's kind of the soul of the team, basically.
So Backstreet, I thought it was really funny when he was offering, the guy at the leave, and he was like, "Why do I want to leave?"
Yeah. But yeah, she was really, and the scenes back with her, I like. It makes you really want to see more of that, basically.
Ratcatcher's probably my second. Actually, probably my favorite one.
Yeah. I like Polka Dot Man, and it's so crazy that such a goofy, just throwaway character from like back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And he's probably the most powerful member on the group.
Right.
Yes. Like, I loved it. Yeah, I loved it when Peacemaker was like, you throw polka dots?
Yeah.
Like, he was not impressed until he saw him throw polka dots.
Right.
And he's like, oh. And the other thing was, I love that they made him sick with you know what I mean? It wasn't just like their side effects. And
there was a nice little Easter egg there too. Whenever they showed his face all swollen, they kind of did this weird kind of overhead angle, and that was James Gunn used to do films for Troma before he struck it big in Hollywood. Lloyd Kaufman, that's his name, by the way. Just not realize that, the guy that created Troma. But that was actually a nod to the Toxic Avenger. So
yes, which we're getting a new version of.
We are.
Yes, and I don't know how I feel about that. That is, you don't go mainstream Hollywood with those. You leave Troma alone, because it's not going to work. I'm sorry, but there's no way in hell it's going to work.
Absolutely. But all of these things, I just think that the casting was great, and the characters that they chose were not the characters that you would typically think of, but they worked so well for the storyline.
Right.
And they brought intensity, gore, humor, sensitivity. Like, it's this weird amalgamation that really worked, and worked so much better than the first one. As a team. Like, not necessarily their characters worked better, but the character development was so much better, and it felt like these are people you would bring together for this mission.
Right.
So I got a fun question for you.
What?
Who's on the next team?
I don't know.
What are some like W list characters that you can get for the next team? Crazy Quilt, Magpie,
Well, we remember
Kite Man.
We saw that girl.
Condiment King.
Condiment King.
What was that? I think that they could potentially have shown us people who would be chosen for the next season.
Right.
But Calendar Man. We saw Calendar Man. We saw Ace of Spades. We saw Kaleidoscope.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I really know of, though.
Well, there were a bunch of them in the prison that they passed by.
Right.
They brought the guys into the girls' side.
But you didn't know who everybody was.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we had to look up who Kaleidoscope was because she was so unique.
I was like, I know that character. I've seen her before, but it wasn't who I thought it was. No. I thought it was going to be a nod to like a Crazy Quilt or something like that. But I'm like, I know I've seen the character before. I could not tell you from where. So yeah, but we watched an Easter egg video that brought it up, and I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Mirror Master.
Right, that would be a good one.
For real, wouldn't be surprised to see Mirror Master in one of them.
And how about Catman?
Catman, yeah. The wannabe Batman.
The wannabe Batman.
That'd be good. What? Then she kind of just whispered, "I have an idea," but now she doesn't want to say what.
I had an idea.
No. Oh, excuse me.
Say
So-
it right, Dad. Right, Lex? If he's going to repeat what you say, he needs to say it right, huh?
All right, guys. Anything else we need to talk about? Otherwise, we can wrap it up for tonight.
Oh, I think we're good. Lex, do you still give it 8 out of 10?
Give it a 9.
Maybe change it to 9.
Nice.
Who was your absolutely favorite character and why?
In the movie?
No, throughout literary history. Yes, in the movie. Why?
I think that King Shark's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say King Shark's my favorite. By far.
I think King Shark was what I needed when there was all the rats running around. But I actually think that my favorite character in this one was actually Amanda Waller.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah.
I love those powerful women. So
The reaction. Well, I mean, you had all those great scenes with her just being the wall, and then
Yeah.
you had just her, like in the where they're doing the briefing scene, and of course it's in the trailer where Peacemaker's like, a starfish is another term for a buckle. Any connection? No.
no.
Just this,
Noted.
But then when like King
I
Shark
am in a room full of idiots.
and he's like, hand, and she's like, yes.
Yes.
Like it's just this very deadpan, and it was so wonderful, and I just
I
Oh, no,
well, and
her hand very good.
I mean, we do see her go ahead and blow somebody's head off that's trying to escape from things. So you learn that she's dead set. She threatened the whole explosive in the head thing, but then you realize it's very real that she could just flip all those switches and kill them all right
Oh, yeah.
there.
and she
Yeah,
had-
she was about to do it.
Yes, that's actually one thing that I did another thing that I did kind of have a problem with is like she sit there screaming at him for like 10 minutes of like, turn around, this is your last point, turn. Amanda Waller had been like, turn around. Okay.
Right.
yeah, that part they had
And
just
she did it twice.
They had to build it up for the suspense
Yeah.
of it. Will she do it? Won't she do
he's
it?
going to turn around. Is
Which
he
that was kind of a cool thing where like when the movie starts with like it opens with Savant, and we actually follow him for quite a while through the entire opening sequence, almost like this movie, like he's our main character.
Right.
And then, of course, he gets blown up.
They-
the Waller blows
Really gross.
Yeah.
How, like, when the head blew up, the bird was eating the head up.
Yeah.
And then when the brain chunks spelled out Warner Brothers Presents.
Yeah, I liked that where James Gunn had done like all these like meanwhile and like
Yeah, all the music was diegetic and
really cool. But
they
like,
would, yeah.
Lex, you brought up a really good point because at the beginning he kills a bird with the ball, right? And then when he dies, the bird, remember?
That same bird, same type of bird anyway.
Yeah, he kills the bird, and then the bird comes in
Symmetry.
like, it's just the circle of life, kiddo.
Waiting for Shpoo to hold her up now. And all right, guys. Well, thank you all for watching tonight. We had a great time talking about this movie. As you got, we all enjoyed this movie. It's just a reminder, it's not for young kids. Use your parental discretion on taking children to see this. Some kids like Lex are able to handle it. Some kids are not.
My
So-
kid grew up with horror stuff all around, so
Right. Blood, guts, whatever. Yeah, whatever. That's normal. What are we talking about?
but she still likes gore.
Yeah,
So there you go. So
I like boring movies.
let's give our ending spiel here.
Oh, okay. So here we go. if you guys like what we do and you guys enjoy our videos, we have friends who do the same thing, and we're going to invite you to go like their pages and their YouTube channels and check them out. First one we're going to talk about is the OzPod Gals. Now, Larry had mentioned at the beginning that they are, is this their 9th episode, you said?
They've done their 9th episode now,
The 9th episode was done today. They just started not long ago, but they're amazing, they're funny, and they're geeky girls who love all kinds of like weird fandoms. So go check them out. It's on Facebook Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Sometimes they're live, sometimes they pre-record. It just depends on what kind of mood they're in. And I think we're going to be on their show.
We are.
Like,
we are.
We got to get that set up.
We do.
And we have our friends over at the Nerd Informants, Tim and Josh. They are amazing, fun, and they give great reviews for any new movies that come out. They do some video game things and all kinds of stuff. And they are wonderful. Go give them a subscribe, hit like on their Facebook page, and let them know we sent you.
And they just hit some big milestone of, what was it, 10 million people?
Or 10,000 posts.
10,000 that's right, 10,000 posts on Facebook and Twitter. So yeah, that's pretty amazing, guys. Great job.
Yep, and they do such great things, and you guys should go check them out. They also have a page for us, the fans, anybody who likes any kind of nerdy geekiness, and that is Nerd Informants Beyond. You guys can post your questions, funny memes. If you guys just want to talk about something, that is the page to go to talk about all of these things. And if you do what we do and want to share it with more people, they like not only encourage that, but they really, really want you to share, because they like to see what we do as well. So be sure to go check that out.
Thing again.
You're back.
Throw the robot.
Then we have our friends over at Pop Culture Minefield, and that is Keith and Gary, and they talk all kinds of stuff. They get all kinds of amazing scoops. I don't know, Gary knows everyone, so they get all kinds of amazing scoops, and they get to talk about stuff. Now they are more geared to an older audience than we are. We try to keep our things kid friendly, and Gary, it's like trying to stop a sailor from cursing. So just so you guys know, if you have younger kids and you don't want them to hear that kind of language, maybe put your headphones on while you're watching them, but be sure to go check them out. Hit that subscribe button. Remember, that's really important for us and for them. And then we have Keith from Pop Culture Minefield, has his own show called Keith Chimes In, and it is the new show on the Fat Steven Seagal channel on YouTube, and that's Mondays at 3 p.m. And I don't know if he's done with his Babylon.
He's not. No, they're still Babylon 5ing it up.
They're still Babylon 5ing over there. So if you are a fan of Babylon 5, or you don't even know what it is, Keith is breaking down everything.
And we know Keith can break things down.
He can. So be sure to go give him a subscribe, like, comment. We love all of that stuff. And then we have the guy below us, right there, our guest today. We have Skallywag himself. That is over at Skallywag Productions on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Did I miss any?
That's everything. But
MySpace?
I might still have a MySpace. I don't know. So last time I was on here, I mentioned that I was going to have videos out this week. That was kind of a holdover until we actually kind of got back into the swing of things. Those videos basically, okay, so you guys know I post my collectible of the day. Well, There's also this app called Reface that I became obsessed with, where I can make these figures sing and do funny stuff. Yeah, and so it was a compilation video of those. And I did. And so I had put together a video, 3 different video compilations of that I was going to release just to kind of, fill the dead air. And all 3 of them got struck down for copyright content. So those aren't happening.
Boo, copyright.
But I have been saying, I need to get on and do another kind of update video for everybody. So I'm going to try to have that out this coming week. Monday if possible, but by Wednesday at the latest, I'll have that out. just going to let everybody bring up to speed, let you know what's happened since the last update video and where we're at now and what comes next. So, yeah.
Well, we can't wait to get back and get you back and doing the videos. I can't wait to be back doing our show that we do together, where we talk about all kinds of weird, mysterious, and unsolved things and stuff. It's always fun. Cool. You must have heard something. But
something moved. I don't know what it was.
It's just a mouse. Don't worry.
Things like to move in here all the time.
Yes, we have a ghost.
Well, look at your toys. Come on.
They play with them.
They like the Pennywise. They like Pennywise tops more than anything. Like this was the last one that I found that moved. She noticed it, but it was like facing the wall basically. So yeah.
That's a weird thing. Oh, it's our house is weird. But yeah, be sure to check out.
They'll like toss them off the shelves and then they'll break and whatever. And, yeah. Anyway, thanks for what you think.
Out Skallywag Productions. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, follow, share on Facebook, hit the like button, share it, because we just do this for you guys and because we love to do this. So the more you guys can show us the love, the more we feel like we're doing what you want. And,
yep.
That sort of thing. And then there's us.
There's us.
Yes, we have our own website, GeekyKOOL.com.
Shall I?
Go right ahead.
While you're out there on the internet, pop over to www.GeekyKOOL.com, your one-stop shop for all things nerd.
Thank you, sir.
See?
That's always fun to hear.
Right? He does it so much better.
I know he does it really well. So yeah.
Check us out on Facebook and YouTube as well. You're either watching us on one of those two platforms. While you're here, hit subscribe. If you're on Facebook, hit like, and then go over to YouTube and hit subscribe. That would be great for us.
It would definitely. And we are in process of getting more shows. We've got more people doing some writing. Exciting things are happening at GeekyKOOL. So make sure to keep checking us out. We're kind of on a pretty hot pace on posts too. It's kind of wild where we're at. So only on the 13th, and I think we're at 40 posts. So we're trucking along.
Who knows? We might even get the little Skallywag to do her own review show on TV shows she's watching that we find extremely cheesy.
Hero. Peru.
There you go.
Hold the Aunt Peru of.
Be sure to keep an eye out because we have all kinds of things coming your way on GeekyKOOL, and we have amazing contributors that are doing all kinds of really cool things. So be sure to keep an eye out. And until next time, what should they do, Professor?
Stay geeky, and we'll see you guys later. Have a great night. We should be back Tuesday talking about Bigfoot, UFOs, and many other sorts of weird things.